insulin levels continue to rise and they never return to normal. And they stay at very high levels. And what's important to understand about that, if your body has excess insulin, then you have the probability of developing microinflammation. Microinflammation is a precursor to the formation, well, your body formulates homocysteine, which leads to plaque formation inside the endothelial wall of the arteries. That leads to atherosclerosis and other cardiovascular conditions. And what this just represents is the vicious cycle that the diabetic's body is going through. Every time a diabetic eats food, glucose levels go up, insulin levels goes up, blood glucose crashes, it goes back up. And it's a continual vicious cycle. And the body eventually is depleted. Most type 2 diabetics have low levels of chromium, low levels of biotin, low levels of vitamin E, low levels of vitamin C. And so if you begin to think about it, diabetes is a disease of cellular starvation. The cells are dying because they're not obtaining the proper nutrients. The impact of diabetes, it impacts the population. We have 21 million diabetics in the United States. We've got another 41 million who don't know it. There's 170 million diabetics worldwide. You have this disease has become the #1 chronic disease in America. #1. Anybody know what's the #1 killer disease in America? Anybody? Heart disease. That's #1. What's #2? Cancer. #3? Very good. Actually, they are. They're moving up the charts. #3 is stroke. #4 is diabetes. Diabetes is #4, but it feeds the other 3. And diabetes, if you probably looked at the data differently, you could make a case that it's really the #1 killer. On a personal level, because most people, they really don't care that there's 21 million diabetics. When they first told me, at that time I think it was 17 million, I didn't care. I don't care about the other 17 million people. But on a personal level, this disease affects you physically, emotionally, financially, on many different levels. I did a financial cost analysis back before I had a book. When someone said, would it be worth it to spend extra money to eat healthy? And in their mind, it costs more money to eat healthy. And that's a myth. And I did a model for a senior citizen group because as some of you may be aware, senior citizens in this country have to wrestle with a very important decision every month. Do I take my little Social Security check and buy drugs or food? But they got to buy the drugs because the bodies are biochemically dependent on the drugs. And that puts them in a corner in terms of how much quality food they can buy. And what I told them is, I don't care. When I ran the American Diabetes Association support group, I took them on a field trip and showed them, I said, how much money do you spend per week or per month on food? And let me show you how you can eat healthy and have money left over. They laughed. Oh, DeWayne, extra virgin olive oil, that stuff is expensive. Oh, fish, that's expensive. Yeah. And I will admit, during the first 3 months, you will spend extra money. But if you follow the program, within 6 months, you're saving money. Because what happens is, once the body starts to get well, you don't have to spend the money on drugs. You don't have to spend money on the doctor visits. You don't have to spend money on hospitals. You don't have to spend money worrying about missing work. I would say on average, I was probably at the beginning spending an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month, maybe more now if I go back and do the numbers on the insulin, because they did pay for some of it, but they wouldn't pay for all my test strips because I was testing my blood 8 times a day, and they would only pay for 3. Doesn't that tell you something? They don't want you to get well. But I learned how to play their game, because in America, it's all about the money. So I told the test strip people, I love your test strips, but I'm just a poor little man, and they're so expensive. I'm going to use and buy these others, which cost a little less. You know what they did? They sent me some free test strips. I said, oh, did the same thing with the other company. So once you understand that we live in a capitalistic society, instead of complaining about it, use it. Of course, the only problem is I got too many test strips. I don't know what to do with them all. They're always calling me and telling me about their new glucose meter. Yeah. My daughter is very creative, isn't she? She goes, Dad, you need some kind of music that's about energy. And I guess that is supposed to be about energy. In order to defeat this disease, it is all about energy. It is all about motivation. It's all about, do you want a better life? Or do you want to be dependent on drugs? We love our drugs in America. We do. You know what a pharmaceutical company told me? They laughed at one of my, when I was doing lectures for a couple of churches. This is maybe 4 years ago. And again, this is before I wrote the book, and they laughed. They said, DeWayne, don't you know we love drugs? That's why we generate more revenue than any other industry. And if you believe that you're going to stand up in front of people and tell them your story and expect that they're going to listen to you, you're on drugs. And in a way, I did believe them. But at the beginning, I didn't have a choice because my mother told me. My mother, she said, son, you've been blessed with this knowledge, and you must share this knowledge. And again, I really had no choice. And the wellness factor with type 2 diabetes, and in fact, these wellness factors are associated with any disease. Nutrition, exercise, spiritual health, support systems, knowledge, education, planning, testing, analysis. All of these components are critical to wellness. And any nutritional strategy must address the needs of the many. Heard that before? The needs of the many. And you have 70 trillion of them. They're called cells. The cells must be nourished. They must be protected. They must be cleansed, detoxified. They must be in balance. If your nutritional program does not address